Hey there everyone! Thank you for joining me as we take a look at Astroware Bridge Management's latest release, version 6.4. While there are plenty of items we could discuss, I'm going to focus entirely on the major change for this release, multimedia. Several areas of the application have changed with the 6.4 overhaul of multimedia, so we'll discuss each one and how they fit together. Those areas include the Admin General Config Multimedia page, the Admin Security Multimedia page, the Inspection Multimedia page, and the Multimedia widget. So let's get to it. BrM administrators will likely start their setup on the new Admin General Config Multimedia task that determines many of the settings for multimedia, so let's walk through each one. The general settings start with storage type, which you use to select either network storage or virtual directory storage. With maximum file size, you enter the maximum file size you want to allow for a single uploaded file. Users will get an error if they try to upload a multimedia file larger than this size. By selecting the Use Bridge District checkbox, you add an additional folder level to the multimedia storage structure to sort files by district. If you selected network storage as your storage type, you'll have the root directory option. If you selected virtual directory storage, you'll have the virtual directory option. Either way, this is where you specify the location where you want to store your multimedia files. Max image dimension determines the maximum pixels, both height and width, for supported image types including JPEG, icon, TIFF, GIF, bitmap, and PNG files. Uploaded images that are larger than the maximum dimension are automatically downsized. The Report File Storage Settings section does not yet have a function in BrM 6.4, but in a future release this will allow you to store your multimedia files with an external storage provider. The Legacy Storage Settings option allows you to ensure your old, pre-version 6.4 multimedia files are accessible in the new multimedia setup. Multi-server is the storage file path for your pre-BrM version 5 files, and Multi-server 5 is the storage file path for the files from BrM version 5 to BrM version 6.3. With context file name settings, you can customize the file name settings for multimedia files. When uploading a new multimedia file, custom naming automatically changes the name of the file to match the field criteria and order specified in the context file name settings. Users can then adjust the file name further if needed. You can specify the file name settings for the bridge context and the inspection context separately. So let's say we want all of the files we upload for our bridge context to start with the bridge ID and then the current date. For the inspection context, we'll also use the bridge ID, but instead of the current date, we'll use the inspection date. Once our selections are made, we can click, hold, and drag them up and down to rearrange them or remove them with the delete icon. The topmost item in the list will be the first part of the file name. Keep an eye out for this name setting later when we upload a new image on the Inspection Multimedia task. The last section of this page is Context Subfolders. Here you build out the folders that you want to exist under your bridge and inspection contexts. You can nest 2 folders deep, setting up a parent, child, and grandchild folder structure. The Work Candidate and Load Rating folders are included by default, so we'll just add 2 other folders, one to the bridge context for Scour and one to the inspection context for Maintenance. Now that we've designated the storage locations and settings for the multimedia files, customize the file names, and set up the context folder structure, we can determine the role permissions for multimedia on the Admin Security Multimedia task. So here you've got control over the access each role in the system has to the bridge and inspection context folders and each of the subfolders within. Full access means the folder is visible and the user can upload new files and edit or delete existing files. Read-only access means the folder is visible, but the user cannot upload files and can only view existing files without making changes. No access means the folder is not visible to the user. First, select a role from the Role dropdown. Then, either make individual selections for each of the folders or use the Permissions dropdown to select one of the permission types and click Apply to all folders to apply the selected permission to all folders for the selected role. Note that a role can have greater access to a subfolder than a parent folder so long as the parent folder is not set to no access. If a parent folder is set to no access, all subfolders within it will not be visible to the role regardless of their individual settings on this page. Now we can save our changes, select a bridge, and go to the Inspection Multimedia task to see our admin setup in action. On the Inspection Multimedia task, the view starts with the top-level context, bridge, and inspection. If we click on one of them, we'll see the folder structure we created on the Admin General Config Multimedia task. The selected folder determines where uploaded multimedia files will be stored. To double-check where you're at in the folder structure, look for the gray text in the breadcrumb. There are two view types available for the files in the selected folder: the Details view and the Thumbnail view. Both share the same information and have access to the same options, but the Details view is a list of the files, while the Thumbnail view provides either a thumbnail version of image files or an icon representing the file type for non-image files. Now, let's see what it looks like to upload a file. To do so, click Upload. The first item of business is to choose the file you want to upload. If you've got permission to enable or disable custom file naming for your uploads, you'll see the Custom File Naming Enabled toggle above the Choose Files button. In this case, we'll keep custom naming enabled so you can see an example of the custom file naming convention we set up earlier. So, find the file and open it. You have the option to add more than one file at a time, but that limits setting up file linking from the upload window, so we'll just add one file. Take a look at the name of the file before I open it. Once opened, you can see the custom file name populated in place of the original file name. Sort order allows you to assign a numerical value to the file so you can sort the list of multimedia files by the order. Select Report Flag if you want to make this file available for inclusion in reports. Use the Agency Type dropdown to select an agency-specified identifier for the file. And if you want to make the file searchable or filterable in the list, you can add tags. The Link Files button allows you to link together files within the same context. You can link files when uploading or editing a file. Each file can be linked to one file and have one file linked to it. So, to link a file to the file we're currently uploading, we'll click Link Files, locate the file we want in the list, and click the link file icon. Note that linked files only display when they're downstream, or in the past, of the selected file. For this reason, the oldest file in a series of links will not show any linked files. An example of file linking would be if you photograph a defect during a bridge inspection, then come back 2 years later and photograph the defect again on your next inspection. You can link those two files together so you can see the progression of the defect over time. And now we're ready to save our settings and upload the file. If we look at our newly uploaded file in the list, we see that it has the View Linked Files icon. In addition, available options for each multimedia file include Edit, Open in New Tab, Download, and Delete. And that covers the basics of uploading a multimedia file, but with the 6.4 update, the Inspection Multimedia task isn't the only place you can upload files. A new multimedia widget allows you to add the same functionality seen on the Inspection Multimedia task to any other task in BrM. To do so requires a simple setup on the Visual Form Editor. When you get to the Admin General Config Visual Form Editor task, select the tab and task to which you want to add the multimedia widget. We'll go with the Inspection Condition task. In the Properties tab, Select the Multimedia Configure button in the Selected Task Properties grouping. Here we determine which of our multimedia folders to include in the Multimedia widget for the selected task. Once we make our selections and save, we can navigate to that task to access the Multimedia widget. So here on the Inspection Condition task, we can see there's a new icon next to the Help icon in the top right corner. That's the Multimedia widget. When we click it, we've got access to all the same functionality as the Inspection Multimedia task. And that wraps up the overview of multimedia in BRM 6.4. There are plenty of other enhancements, updates, and bug fixes included in this release. Please refer to the BRM 6.4 release notes for details on these changes. As always, if you have any questions, please visit ashtawarebridge.com for up-to-date contact information or email brm@mayview.com. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more BRM release videos in the future.